What is up, Ghosts and Guardians? We have a lot of technical difficulties recently, but that's okay. That's all right. We're back with Ghosts and Guardians, episode 9. Very excited because we just talked about a bunch of things that had basically nothing to do with Destiny, and we're gonna keep that up on the channel. We're gonna keep that up on, right before all this. So if you want to see us talk about Apex Legends, the new Legacy update, if you want to hear us talk about our thoughts on the state of play or anything else, go ahead, watch that. But today, right now, in this video, in this stream, we are going to talk about this week at Bungie. We're going to talk about this week at Bungie. There's a lot to talk about. And Gil, if you don't mind, paracausal co-host, I'm just going to jump right into it.
Yeah.
Cool. So this first part of the TWAB is all about kind of just getting us ready for the next season by telling us to complete everything this season. So if you didn't already, there is the In It for Infamy challenge. I didn't complete that yet because you just got to play a lot of Gambit. Well, it's double Infamy next week. So if you need to finish that up next week, which is the last week, you're going to go ahead and play a bunch of Gambit like me, and you'll be able to get that done. And of course, if you already completed your Master of All Triumph, or if you need to still complete it, you can complete it and then go ahead and get this right here from Bungie Rewards. So I think it looks pretty nice. I'll probably wear it for fashion at some point because I do like the look of it. But of course, we'll have to see what works with transmog. But we'll talk about transmog a little bit later in the show. So blah, blah, blah. This is basically all just saying get ready, complete things that you got to complete. But let's get into the real meat of the TWAB today, starting with the first topic, VOG, otherwise known as Vault of Glass. It's a sick raid. If you haven't played it already, it's from D1. And we finally have a date for its initial release in Destiny 2. It's going to be a little bit different from the original VOG, but like they said, they want to basically keep it still, the same in most areas, right? So they're going to freshen it up a little bit. There's going to be things where you weren't, noticing this, you weren't ready for that, some changes there. I'm hoping they do some sort of a thematic change. Like we already went through the story of VOG, so I hope there's something at least a little bit different that says, oh, okay, there's a little bit of a different story here, or there's a reason why we're redoing it. Kind of like Nightmares with the moon, like, give us a reason why we're going back. But like I said, there's a date for when Vault of Glass is going live, May 22nd, and it's going to be live at 10 a.m. Pacific time. This is, I think, a really good time. This is a Saturday, so 10 o'clock in the morning for myself, because, of course, I'll be in the West Coast, or maybe, like some of my clanmates who are on the East Coast, that'll be 1 o'clock, or like Gil, who's in Central, which is, of course, at 12, smack dab at noon, so make sure you eat a big breakfast. And we're going to jump right into Vault of Glass, and it's going to be great. It's going to be great. I'm actually going to be on vacation in Philadelphia, so I'll actually be on the East Coast time, and I'll have to bring my PS5 with me. But I'm pretty excited. A lot of people have been asking, though, World's First, like for Vault of Glass? Like, that seems kind of weird because there was already a World's First. Yeah, no worries. There's already a Vault of Glass, so it's just kind of weird, right? How does that work? How does that work? Well, it's no longer going to just be whoever completes it first. Once you complete it once, you actually have to come back and complete it a second time on something called a challenge mode. So you'll see here, the first time that you play, of course, it's going to be on contest mode. So you have to be at least 1300 power. Should be very easy for everyone because it's literally the soft cap of this season. So it should be hard to play. But we're also going to be capped at 1300. So if you're any higher than 1300, doesn't matter. You're just going to be at 1300, and you're going to be able to play Vault of Glass in contest mode. If you beat it, which I'll be honest, anybody that wants to beat Vault of Glass in contest mode will probably beat Vault of Glass in contest mode. The reason being is because all of the basics of it, the mechanics of Vault of Glass, will be able to be done by, just learning it through old videos from D1. If you're a real tryhard, you might actually go into D1 and do it again, just so you're ready to go. But once you complete it, it'll unlock the new challenge mode and a new triumph called Tempo's Edge. So you're going to have to complete Vault of Glass on challenge mode, which is harder than contest mode, I'm assuming. And once you complete challenge mode, you'll then be able to complete Tempo's Edge Triumph. Now, the Tempo's Edge Triumph is a curated list of triumphs that are only unlocked in challenge mode. And apparently, if you failed one of the actual triumphs within challenge mode, you'll actually just wipe and restart. That way, you're only going for that mode, right? You're only going for that triumph. It's pretty hardcore. I think it's pretty awesome. And if you win, if you get world's first, you're going to get this belt. This belt is not gold as per usual, it's silver. And the reason it's silver is because Prime Guard, you guys can see it right here on the left, back in 2014, beat Vault of Glass. And so instead, you'll be getting a silver belt and your name will be next to, on the right side of the original completers of this raid. I actually love this. I think some people are probably going to be a little salty about it, but I think it's awesome. I think it's a great way of keeping the legacy of this game and the players in this game alive, even while we move away from old things. Like, most people really aren't playing D1, but to still say, hey, D1 existed, the players who play D1 are in D2, and there's some incredible people. We want to pay homage to them while also getting really excited about, whoever might win this next season. If you didn't know, the people who are part of Prime Guard, a lot of them are now part of Math Class, which is Dado's team. Dado's a famous Destiny YouTuber. So it'd be interesting. Gil was saying earlier, it'd be interesting if Prime Guard was able to win again, otherwise known as Math Class. So if it said Prime Guard on the left and Math Class on the right, it would be pretty cool. But who knows? You might get a completely different team winning this year. I know my clan is going to go for a day one completion. You'll notice here that there is no information on a day one completion, what we're going to get from day one completion for either the contest mode or the challenge mode. So technically you can beat, of course, a day one normal raid. You can also then do the challenge mode and get the triumph. So it's kind of crazy that you can do all of that and not get the belt. So what will we get if we complete all that? That's kind of the real question, right? So I'm pretty excited about all of that. Excited to see what we get from that. Yeah, just kind of excited overall. Moving on, perfect timing, the homie Gil. It's time to talk about sandbox changes. Mm-hmm. So we've talked about sandbox changes in the past. Obviously, we've talked about a bunch of nerfs, right? So, we're talking about nerfs like the 120s are getting nerfed, right? Or more recently, the Arbalest nerf, things like that, right? Bastion getting nerfed. Well, outside of all of that, we're getting some buffs this time around. I'm pretty excited about it, and I hope you guys are too. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Chris Proctor, who is the weapons feature lead, we've talked about him before because he was on another TWAB talking about the nerfs. Well, he's going to talk about heavy weapons and the role that they have in Destiny 2. Now, some people might skip this, but for this podcast, we're going to talk about it because I think this is a really good amount of information for you as a player to think about now. So when you're playing the game, you understand the design, the purpose of these weapons. So let's just start off with the explanation of roles for heavy weapons. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, heavy weapons are supposed to just kill bosses. That's why all these heavy weapons suck. That's why machine guns suck. That's why linear fusion rifles suck, because none of them are as good as, whatever weapon, put weapon in here, the lament for killing bosses, it's garbage. That's not necessarily true. The first thing that we see here is ad clear. Clearing weaker enemies faster than you could with primary weapon ammo. For most content, primaries do a ad clear job perfectly well. So this is really helpful in higher difficulty PvE things like Grandmaster Nightfalls, etc. So I actually really love this explanation. Again, I say this all the time, is like, you can use a heavy for ad clear. It's just not always the best thing, because you might already be running an SMG or something like that. But let's say you're running a bow. Bows aren't necessarily the best for ad clear. So if you have a machine gun, which you might actually see a lot of speedrunners use Thunderlord, it's because Thunderlord's just better at clearing out ads. So that's one thing. Single target damage is another role for heavy weapons. And single target damage is, of course, burning down a boss. You might think of something like Whisper of the Worm. And then there's a burst damage, burning down a champion quickly, or for a boss with multiple damage phases, clearing a phase quickly. So it's like doing a lot of damage in a short period of time, but maybe not over a long period of time. Again, it's like Whisper of the Worm versus like a sword, right? Granted, swords are also really good for DPS, but we'll get into that in a second. So now that we all understand the roles, add clear, single target damage or single target DPS, and then burst damage, now we can take a look at how Bungie thinks about each weapon type, how they fit into these roles. Let's start with a sword. Ammo efficient, add clear. Now this couldn't be more obvious than when you might take Falling Guillotine into Deepstone Crypt. I pretty much use oh my god, I think in every single encounter every single encounter except of course the second one, Atrax, right? I'm using Falling Guillotine.
Yep.
Because it's just really, really good at ad clear. You know, you're just light swiping and then heavy swiping to kill a bunch of ads around you. It's perfect, right? But it's also single target sustained damage, right? So this goes back to here, single target damage, burning down a boss, right, is an example of that. And then it also has secondary burst damage at the cost of being next to a dangerous target, right? This is very, very true. You're seeing ad clear. We do that. We just talked about that. We're seeing Riven as a great example for sustained damage. And we're seeing secondary burst damage as a good example when you go against a boss that might stomp you or something like that, right? And that's, again, that kind of advantageous or that give and take there. So swords, pretty good at that. Rocket launchers, burst damage and secondary ad clear. This is so obvious, right? Yeah. You're never going to do sustained damage with a rocket launcher because you shoot it out and that's it. Then you just have to wait, right? So burst damage, that's obviously pretty big one, especially right now with the buffs. And then the second one is ad clear. Rocket launchers have never been better at ad clear until this season. We got chain reaction. Chain reaction is only for ad clear. So perfect example. And then after that, we're looking at machine guns, ammo efficient ad clear, secondary single target sustained damage. Now, before I just crap all over that, because, we're never doing that, we expect to adjust machine guns in a future season. They're not currently hitting the target. Yeah, we know that. Machine guns are not good for single, sustained damage. I mean, you're not doing DPS with a machine gun. But it's good to know that in a future season, they're going to be buffed. Of course, I want them to be buffed now, but this is a really good thing to think about because if you've been throwing away auto-loading holster, Vorpal weapon, machine guns, you might want to keep one or two around because they're going to be fixed because this is what they want. This is the outcome. They want single target sustained DPS to be one of the things with machine guns. So don't just throw them out because they're bad. Sunsetting's gone. So if you have a good weapon, you might want to keep it. I'll give you an example real quick.
The only somewhat good sustained damage is maybe Heir Apparent, but the best is definitely Xenophage.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think Xenophage is different, right? Like Xenophage is a very particular weapon. But Heir Apparent's not very good either. Trust me, I was using it the other day. Slay's an ad clearing, but it's not really good for single damage. And like Thunderlord is probably the only one that's okay. I used to use it all the time, but that's only in like lower level content. So Thunderlord's still fun. It's still a good, still good. Yeah. But just as an example, right here, it's in here somewhere. There it is. This 7th Seraph has Vorpal auto-loading. You're going to want to keep one of these. A Vorpal auto-loading, maybe with an extended mag, and then doesn't really matter for the barrels, because this is going to just do a bunch of damage at some point. And auto-loading for me is definitely good because I like to put my weapon away and then do damage with something else. But Clown Cartridge is another good example, and even Field Prep is good as well. So think about it that way, guys. There's some good stuff here. You're going to want to keep one of these if you can get one. This is the 7th Seraph Saw, for those who are wondering. But yeah, something to think about. And then we've got linear fusion rifles. Oh, boy. Single target sustained damage. Yep, nope, not happening. Where the target has a handy crit spot. or secondary burst damage. So linear fusion rifles are just bad. We all know this. No one's going to do this. Burst damage is better done with a sniper rifle, and sustained damage is better with a sniper rifle. So linear fusion rifles out the door. But this is what they want. So think about that. Then we've got drum grenade launchers, right? So this is grenade launchers that are not secondaries or special weapons. Burst ad clear, again, great time for burst ad clear because of, again, we've got chain reaction. And then secondary single target damage. This is also very apparent when you take a look at like Gowron. I know Gowron's not around anymore, but this was a good example. Everybody was using grenade launchers, and it's still good. If I ever say, hey, we got to do DPS phase, definitely go ahead and grab a grenade launcher and a sniper rifle. It's a perfect combination, especially if they have auto loading. Grenade launchers could use maybe a tiny little buff, maybe, but honestly, I think they're fine. And then exotic snipers, single target sustained damage, which is only that, which again, I think is fair because there's only exotic ones, right? So before we jump into the changes and things like that, Gil, what do you think about the way that Bungie thinks about weapons and their roles, heavy weapons and their roles within their game, within Destiny?
Well, I'm glad they kind of like explain how people should be looking at it instead of just like one certain way.
Yeah.
It might help people go and explore using those weapons outside of just the one thing they think it should be good for.
Right.
Like Thunderlord or Heir Apparent, those things are great for ad clear. Not great for boss damage, but a lot of people think like, well, it's exotic. It's supposed to be good at boss damage. But like, you're not using Trinity Ghoul on a boss.
Right.
So, yeah, I think that's the best thing they did here. But I like how in depth they explained it because I never really thought about. To be honest, I myself never really thought about everything like this. But
I think when you can, I think if you want to be a hardcore player or just really good at the game, right? I think if you want to be really good at the game, the more you understand the design of the game, the better the game you're going to get. So I think this is good. And the next thing is actually talks about examples, right? Yeah. So I'll go over these quickly just to add context. Linear fusion rifles, burning down champ. This is what they want, by the way. This is what they want. Burning down champions, boss damage where the boss has a crit spot, or with divinity. So that's what they want to see for linear fusion rifles. No one's doing that right now, but this is what they want to see. So think about the final boss in
Deepstone.
No, not Deepstone. I'm thinking about the Christian raid. I didn't want to call
Garden.
it Christian raid. Garden, yeah, Garden. Our clan calls it the Christian raid because it's a giant cross. Please don't get upset with me about that. Yeah, like you got those giant crit spots all the time. Linear fusion rifle, or like you said, Deepstone crit. Final boss, you hit those spots, or divinity, right? That's what they want from that. Rocket launchers, burst damage against champions or bosses, particularly with lasting impression. Clearing clumped out waves of tough ads. 100%. This is totally true. If I'm going into a Nightfall, which the vast majority of the time I go into a Nightfall, if I'm bringing an exotic already that isn't, of course, Anarchy, I'm bringing a lasting impression rocket. But it doesn't mean that I often bring chain reaction rocket launchers. So that's a good example as well. And then, of course, machine guns, right? So machine guns breaking matching shields and GMs where other weapons just can't do the trick. And then using a machine gun instead of a primary in a heavy ammo rich situation where your primary and special weapon are not rapid fire. Again, exactly like I mentioned, Monarch in succession plus whatever machine gun is useful at that time. This is actually a really good example because GMs recently, this is a very good pairing. You use Monarch to deal with overload champions and deal spike damage to strong enemies in general. Then you have Succession for doing like boss DPS or just doing even more damage, right? And then you can just use your machine gun to mow people down, and you can create a heavy ammo rich situation with a couple different exotics or a couple different mods. So something to think about for sure. So I love this. And this kind of adds to what you were saying before about them giving examples and things like that.
If you want, I can do this next part.
Yeah, let's talk about balance philosophy.
All right. So, balance philosophy, there are two approaches that they like to do, or they like to take. Big swings. Make a big change that we believe will immediately encourage new player behavior, which is basically a simple way, a more convoluted way of saying change the meta. Kind of.
Yeah, pretty
um,
much.
uh, most useful when we need to nerf or buff something hard enough that everyone can tell that it's happened. Examples: 120 cannon, hand cannon buff in Beyond Light, or the rocket launcher buff in Season of the Chosen, obviously.
Yep.
Incremental changes. Taking something that they feel isn't far from where it needs to be and nudge it a little at a time. Examples: the precision auto rifle change outlined below, or the season of arrival's high impact pulse rifle change. So yeah, that's their balance philosophy. And with that in mind, we'll go into the weapon balancing.
And I actually wanted to mention something here too. I think this is pretty awesome because they've never really explained this. I think if you know game design, you know this. But if you don't, you might never know that this is how people do things, because people are always asking for nerfs and buffs.
Yeah.
But now you kind of know that if there's something where there's a huge change, it's because they're trying to make a big swing. And if it's a small change, it's because they're trying to make an incremental one. And they give you a reason for why, right? But like you said, let's go ahead and jump into these changes.
All right. Precision 450 RPM auto rifles. This subliminally fell behind other auto rifles in the tuning last year. So they increased precision, which is 450 RPM, auto rifle damage from 17 to 18.
All right, before we jump into that, I want to show you guys what precision auto rifles are. So the summoner is an adaptive, that's 600, right? And then you have Shadow Price. Shadow Price, obviously brand new, came back to us. It's a 450. They're kind of the slow ones, right? They're kind of like they're not like they're not like constantly firing. It's you can kind of see the gaps in between. This is the one that's getting a buff. So I just wanted to put that out there for those who are kind of like, oh, I don't even know what that is, because you probably haven't been using them often. It's not the high impact ones that are 360. If you haven't used the high impact, they're actually not terrible. I mean, I'm not saying they're good, but they're not terrible. So they're a little afraid of getting a Uriel's gift meta, back. So I'm sure they're doing small things. But here's another example: the Braytech Werewolf. I have an incredible PvP roll. Tap the trigger, dynamic sway, ricochet rounds, polygonal rifling. Oh my! Range masterwork. It's kind of a big deal. But yeah, this is kind of crazy. It's not really that good. It's going to have a 1 damage difference. I was actually watching Astrocross's video about this earlier, and the question he had, and the question I definitely had, was now with 1 damage increase, does that also mean that we're getting a damage increase to precision damage? We don't know. This doesn't say body damage. This says damage per bullet. So it depends on what the multiplier is, but we'll have to see how big of a deal this is. I know this might not sound like a big deal, but anytime they change something with 1 or 2, it probably changes the amount of bullets you need to actually get a kill. And it's probably one bullet, but it's still, that could be a big change. So it'll be interesting to see what this is, because I have my beautiful Braytech and I really want to use it. So it'll be interesting to see what this is like. But I'll pass it back to you, Go.
All right. With this one's kind of weird.
Super weird.
They added a rare machine gun and bow to the world loot pool, which is a blue machine gun and bow, this season. And next season they're adding it to the world loot pool now, but it'll be unobtainable till next season. They're adding a linear fusion rifle and a breach grenade launcher to the world loot pool, and they're both blues.
Yeah. So just to be super clear about that, they're adding existing but unobtainable rare fusion rifle and breach grenade launchers to the world loot pool. So we have rare, blue, blue linear fusion rifles and breach grenade launchers, but we can't currently get them. Probably because they were like sunset or they're too old, so they're bringing them back into the loot pool. So if you're a new player, or obviously next season when we start grinding up again, we can actually get these, which obviously isn't a big deal, but it is one of those things where you're a new player and I'm like, hey, do you have a linear fusion rifle? The answer will be no, because there is no linear fusion rifle that's blue that's obtainable for you. And that's the same for a breach grenade launcher, which you don't want your first breach grenade launcher to be a purple one that's hard to obtain, which currently the only one that is obtainable is literally from Season of the Hunt. You have to go through Season of the Hunt to actually, get that working. So having one that's blue, I think it's a weird thing. It means nothing to us, but it is kind of a big deal.
You talking about Blasphemy?
Oh, I completely forgot about Blasphemy. No. Blasphemy is the one I'm thinking of, right?
Yeah.
What's the one that you can only get from Season of the Hunt?
Blasphemy.
Oh yeah, Blasphemy. Yeah.
But there's another one.
What's the other one?
Crowd Pleaser.
You just see me going into my vault. Oh, I'm thinking of I was thinking of Deafening Whisper.
Thinking of Wave Frames.
Oh, I am. Oh, okay. I'm thinking of Wave Frames.
These are just like heavy grenade launchers, basically.
I'm throwing. Yeah. Wait, hold on. Really?
Yeah.
Wait. All right, I know I'm being a little ridiculous now. No, breach ones are like Orwing's Maul. Truth Teller. So I'm still off.
Oh.
I'm still off, but they're still. I understand why they're saying that now. So Orwing's Maul you can only get from from again one source, which is Iron Banner, and then Truth Teller. I don't know how you get Truth Teller. I don't think it's in the world loot. Maybe it is in the world loot pool. But again, it's one of those things where
it is in the world loot pool.
So if that's where you're getting it, they're basically saying we want you to be able to get a breach loaded grenade launcher before you get a blue one, before you have to get a purple one.
Right.
So I think whatever. It doesn't really. This has nothing to do with us.
So with this next one, me and Shane have talked about this countless times.
Yes, sir.
Linear fusion rifles need a buff in PvE. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to read this whole paragraph because we don't really care about what's in this. They increased the precision damage by 15% and increased the reserve ammo by 20%.
Big deal.
Big deal.
Big deal. If you were interested in what was going into this paragraph, just like a quick TLDR, basically they were saying we know a lot of people want to see linears in the special slot, but they said it's way too much work to try and balance a instant damage weapon like a sniper and a non-instant weapon like a charging weapon like a linear fusion rifle. Right. It's really hard to balance the two, which I completely agree with. And I'm not mad that they didn't change it. I think you either make it strong enough to be a heavy weapon or you turn it into a special weapon. I think either way is fine. I mean, obviously we've seen Arbalest and how people feel about Arbalest. So I'm not surprised that they did this, but 15% and 20%. These are big numbers. What do you think, Gil?
You know what I'm immediately going to say?
Yeah.
If this turns out to be super good in PvE, Sleeper is going to be it.
So this...
yeah, go on.
Go.
Like, I don't think other things are definitely still going to beat it out. Obviously, like Xenophage is probably still going to beat it. Maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. Precision damage. I mean, we have to think about it, right? Because precision damage is a big deal. I think precision damage is like, it's really hard to beat weapons that are supposed to be doing precision damage. It's hard to beat those out. like I think one of the reasons that Xenophage is so good is it does a lot of really great sustained DPS over a certain amount of time. If you have a good reload that happens, if you're a Titan, Armamentarium or Acting War Rig, I always get them confused. But 15% to precision damage. Linear fusion rifles are not good because they're outclassed by snipers. But with 15% more, I mean, I'm going to wait for Fallout to do the math.
Yeah.
But I mean, that to me,
it has potential to be like
yeah,
the best precision heavy in the game.
right. And there's only two, right? There's only two. So this is a really and the other ones are exotics. So right now we almost always say, "Oh, we'll bring out Whisper if an exotic, if there is a precision based boss damage DPS phase that a slug shotgun can't hit." Right? So this is kind of a big deal. And I'm just going to give you guys a couple examples because I like flexing. And look at this. I don't think this one's good. Yeah, look at this. No, that one's not that good either. Is this one good? No, okay. This one. Look at this threaded needle I have. You guys want to get yourself one of these, I'm telling you. Vorpal weapon, auto loading. This is about to get really, really good.
Yeah.
This is about to get really, really good. Even Frenzy could get really, really good.
Yeah, I have one with Killing Frenzy.
Because that means you're going to be able to, for precision damage, actually, that's a good point. If you can get, I have a, well, whatever. Yeah, Vorpal weapon, auto-loading is going to be incredible boss damage. But don't forget, they also talked about what they wanted these to be, right? So if we go back and we scroll up just a little bit, you can see they want it to be good single target sustained damage. So again, that's boss DPS. That's where you're going to want one of these, right? Vorpal weapon auto-loading. So you're going to unload the entire magazine, swap out to your auto-loading or reconstruction sniper rifle, unload that whole thing, come back to threaded. And it's gonna be nasty. It's gonna be nasty, right? But the other thing that they want is secondary burst damage. So burst damage, which again they then give this example, burst damage against champions or bosses. This is kind of nice. Oh, sorry, no, that's not linear. Burning down champions. Here it is. Burning down champions. So this is kind of nice because we've recently just been getting out rockets, but imagine you go ahead and you hit somebody with an overload with the Monarch, right? You hit them, they're stunned, you swap out to your threaded needle, and you're just like bang, 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 bang. Like, I mean, you're just hitting them multiple times. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. But there's still rapid hit. You can get a rapid hit. That's good too. You could still use it for some sort of ad clear. But I think with this as well, I think we might see a new linear fusion rifle that is more in line with what they want it to be. Because now the ones that I have, I'll be completely honest, I have a couple of them that I saved for ad clear because I didn't know which way they were going to go, right? So Rampage, Feeding Frenzy, I might not keep it. I might try it out a couple of times against some majors and see if I can one-shot them, but I don't really know outside of that. So it's going to be interesting to see how this goes, but I can tell you now, the fact that I have this role, Gil, you got to get yourself one of these, man.
Yeah.
You got to get yourself a Vorpal auto-loading.
Indeed.
Indeed.
But yeah, I'm excited. I personally like using them, but it's just like I'm not right now. Like I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
With regular fusion rifles, they increase the damage fall off start distance. No effect on 100 range stat, plus 2 meters on 0 range stat.
Yeah. So to clarify there, think about it on a spectrum here: 100 and 0. At 0, you're getting plus 2. At 100, you're getting no change. So anywhere in between there, you might be getting a fraction of a change. So, you might have 10 range, you might have 20 range, 30 range, whatever the range might be. You're going to get some sort of buff. But at 100, you're not getting any buff. So basically, the smaller the lower the range, the more of a buff you're about to get, if that makes sense. They're trying to just rein them in a little bit. Not rein them in, sorry. They're trying to expand them just a bit on the lower end. So, everybody basically uses aggressive frame VOOPs if you're going to use one at all. Aggressive frame, fusion rifle if you're going to use one at all. high impact. But you might use something else now because the range is a little bit better on those.
Mm-hmm. Now, this is it for weapon archetypes. Now we're getting into perks. There's a lot of these that they're doing. Starting off with subsistence.
This is a good one.
Yeah, no longer reduces reserve ammunition. And submachine guns now receive the same ammo fraction per takedown that auto rifles do. Was 10% like most weapons, now 17%, same as auto rifles. Huge.
God, it was good before. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, it was good before. But now God's here. Look at all my. I have some subsistence rolls here. I just deleted them. Oh no, dude! I deleted them. I just changed them all to overflow.
Oh.
Because I didn't like subsistence. So let me just give you guys an example. So I gotta go back. Subsistence. Let me tell you what you want right now. You want to get an extraordinary rendition with subsistence, extended mag, whatever you want for the barrel, and rampage or thresh. That's what you want. You can have it on one for all if you want to. Frenzy if you want. I'm telling you, rampage subsistence, there is nothing better than rampage subsistence. I'm actually really surprised I don't have more. I don't even know what happened. But I still do have some. So I'm not super mad about it.
I have a subsistence rampage igneous hammer.
Yup, me too. Me too. Right here, look at this. Igneous hammer, rampage subsistence. I got a nature of the beast, subsistence dragonfly. We're about to talk about dragonfly. Palindrome, I got a subsistence thresh. Gnawing Hunger, Subsistence, Demolitionist, and Swashbuckler. So if you guys haven't been breaking out these subsistence weapons, which I don't blame you. A lot of the time you probably were like, oh my God, like, I keep running out of ammo. That's not going to be the case anymore. And some machine guns, they got even a little more of a buff. So that's pretty good.
Moving on to high impact reserves and under pressure. Apparently there were some technical constraints at the time they were created. The trigger condition for these is on projectile impact. The bonus won't take effect until you fire the weapon once, but we have more flexibility in perk activators now. Change, I guess, is these are now active as long as their conditions are met.
Yo, this is huge. If you don't think it is, that's just because you don't understand how these perks work. Let me show you an example. High impact reserves. This fusion rifle. This fusion rifle has 80 impact, 80 range.
Main ingredient.
With high impact reserves, it increases the damage, right? But only if I VOOP it first. So I'll give you an example. I'm in Crucible. I've got 2 shots of main ingredient. I pull out my main ingredient exactly what I'm supposed to. I've got the right angle. I've got everything set up. I shoot it, and I don't get that extra damage. Why? Because originally you had to fire it first. So you never got it on the first shot. You only got it on the second shot. Who wants to VOOP twice? In what world are you VOOPing twice? By the way, if you're VOOPing twice, you're a loser. No offense. Sorry. That was me. If you're VOOPing twice, it's a wrap. You lost. That's what I meant. If you're VOOPing twice, I'm sorry. Because the TTK, think about it this way. The TTK, the time to kill on a fusion rifle is the charge time, right? It is the charge time. So basically 0.74 seconds, right? Maybe add a couple more milliseconds for the actual hit registration and travel time for when it has to, because it has to get to them, right? Actually, it's not travel time. I think it's actually it's not projectiles. Anyway, that's kind of crazy because I want my high impact reserves to hit. So now I used to have, and I deleted it because I was so tired of these, but I used to have a high impact reserves and under pressure VOOP. I don't know what weapon it was, probably air intel, but yeah, these are about to get, they're already good. They're about to come back into the meta again because that is a huge change, especially in trials. In trials, you had to get that first VOOP off. Now you just have two extraordinary bullets ready, or two, whatever, boops in your fusion rifle.
Yeah.
So that's a big one. It doesn't really matter for things like my Ikelos here with high impact reserves. I have two of them
Hmm.
with high impact reserves, but it definitely matters for something like this main ingredient.
Yeah. Indubitably. Moving on to unrelenting. Apparently, it was harder to trigger in difficult content, and the health order was hard to perceive. Now easier to trigger in PvP. Immediately triggers on majors and heals 20% more.
What you think, Go?
I've don't think I've ever used a weapon with unrelenting, so maybe now I will.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if I even have any. Okay, I apparently do. Oh, okay. So I have a second perk with Unrelenting. So this is interesting. I have a
Hmm.
False Promises with Unrelenting and Subsistence. And just to reread that, it'll be easier to trigger in PvE because it immediately triggers on majors.
Hmm.
So, maybe it's not the best thing in the world to use on an auto rifle, and that's the only thing
Yeah.
I have with Unrelenting on it. Not surprising. But I mean, it's not terrible, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I think the interesting thing is that it heals you 20% more, and if you do get that major kill, it's worth it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, like I would bring a slug. I would try a slug with unrelenting and push a major in a GM,
Hmm.
or even lower, right?
Yeah.
Like if I know I'm gonna get healed 20%, I might push it.
Yeah.
I might push it. Now it's interesting that they're not changing this in PvP,
Yeah.
but I'm also not surprised that they're not changing it in PvP. I think
Yeah.
that could get pretty toxic pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But I think this is a good change.
Hmm.
I think this is a good change. And I think you're right. I think this is people will try it.
Yeah.
We'll try it now.
Moving on to sympathetic arsenal.
I know I don't have any of these.
Now grants plus 20 reload in addition to its primary effect, which is like I don't
Oh,
even
I have one.
I don't even remember what that does.
Sympathetic Arsenal.
Yeah.
Sympathetic Arsenal reloads your stowed weapons. So sympathetic arsenal is interesting, right? So like let's say I just showed you guys I have one. I probably have this because it's 1310. That's probably the only reason I have this.
Hmm.
If I kill something with my trustee and I have my god roll heritage, if I unload my entire god roll heritage, it will reload it for me if I get a kill. Actually, it's not with a kill. I think it's when I reloading after a final blow. Reloads stowed weapons.
Hmm.
So imagine it's not kill clip, but it's basically reload clip.
Yeah.
When you reload all your weapons as long as you got a kill. So it's not a terrible weapon. I've actually heard it's really good on bows
Yeah.
because you're always reloading, so you can unload and then your special weapon, and then you can swap back to your bow, get a kill
Hmm.
on some ads, and all of a sudden you're good to go.
Right.
So this is interesting. I think the reload thing though, this is a really good change.
Yeah.
I think this is a really good change because I'm automatically going to go, oh, okay, like this weapon now is faster to reload, and it just happens that I'm going to reload other things. So,
Right.
Sympathetic Arsenal plus a damage perk might actually be really, really good.
Hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Dragonfly. Dragonfly now works on heavy shanks and servitors and occurs even faster than after the season chosen fix.
What do you think?
I don't think I use anything with Dragonfly either. Um, but I mean, considering there's so many weapons in this game that have different, better perks than Dragonfly that I don't need to. um,
Yeah, I love Dragonfly.
yeah.
Darth likes Dragonfly. I think there's a lot of people that like it because it's flashy. I know I keep going back into here, but I just think it's like an interesting perk to look at. Let's give it a good example is Player Slants. It has
Hmm.
Dragonfly built in. I use this 7 Seraph all the time, Dragonfly Demolitionist. Yeah, you get a kill on a shank, it'll actually explode now. Heavy shank, it'll actually explode now. You kill a servitor with Demolitionist, it'll explode. And it happens fast. So if there's a bunch of ads, and I hit it with the 7 Seraph and I hit an ad in the head, everything will get hurt around it. which is like a really important thing because a lot of the time, if you have a dragonfly weapon, you might get a kill, and then like a second later it blows up. I was like, I already killed everything. I was like, I don't really need your help then, right? So the fact that it's going to be not instantaneous, they didn't say instantaneous. It just says that it's going to work faster, right? It says it occurs even faster. So we'll have to see exactly how fast that is. But there's going to be a lot of weapons that work well with this. I have I think this is a God Roll 7 Seraph. It's got Dragonfly. This is a 7 Seraph SMG. Dragonfly, 4 times the charm, and Vorpal. So I can swap to Vorpal if I want. But if I'm just ad clearing, Dragonfly is going to be pretty nice on this one. So yeah, I think this is another good one. This is like not a just complete like get it out of the way. This is like oh yeah, okay, let's give it a shot.
All right. Well, now we're moving on to Hipfire Grip. +1 degrees precision hipfire angle threshold. Plus 1.2 times reticle stickiness fall off distance.
Interesting. Okay.
1 degree doesn't seem like that much, but for reference, hand cannon aim assist cone angle is 2.5 degrees at 0 AA to 3 degrees at 100. And you can feel the difference between a 90 AA hand cannon and a 100 AA hand cannon. A 0.05 degree increase, so a small difference can be significant. Note that precision hipfire angle caps at the ADS aim assist cone angle.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a hard one. This is one of those ones where I think if you're not truly invested into like any hipfire weapons, probably don't worry about it and just know that Last Word is about to get a buff. But if you are, or I said Last Word, or Dead Man's Tale, both of them. Well, Dead Man's Tale doesn't have hipfire grip, I don't think. But Last Word does. So know that. But
wild.
yeah, that would. I don't even know what the point would be, honestly. But basically, this is about to get aim assist buff. Basically, it's an aim assist buff, and that's kind of a big deal. So I personally love this buff. I only use hipfire grip on like a handful of weapons, and I think it's kind of important. How do they put this in here? Hipfire, whatever. Hopefully that shows up. Oh, it didn't show up. Hipfire grip. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I literally only use it on sidearms and submachine guns. So I have Fool's Remedy with hipfire grip and kill clip, and the reason is because Fool's Remedy is a body shot monster. Like, I mean, it's so good, and so basically you can jump back when someone's pushing with a shotgun. You can just unload on them. You get some headshots, great, but you want the hipfire grip. You want it to be as stable as possible. You don't want to have to aim down when you're trying to maneuver, right? So it's really, really good. Same with the keening. I do a bunch of maneuvering when I'm using the keening. So Zen Moment Hipfire Grip just allows me to stay on target and move around where my enemies are like, scoped in and trying to shoot me. I'm just moving around, especially with my hunter. And then Mida, if you guys have Mida Mini, this comes with it intrinsically if you get it from Banshee. If you get it from Banshee, it comes with Hipfire Grip. And I promise you, you're going to want to try and use Hipfire Grip with Mida Mini Tool. You're going to want to run around. You already get a huge speed boost with Mida Synergy. You're going to want to go ahead and try that out. But of course, the biggest thing is definitely going to be Last Word. Yeah. Last Word is going to. This basically is just a buff to Last Word. The aim assist is at 40. So I know a lot of people think the aim assist to Last Word is really high. It's not. It's at 40. So it's about to get a buff. And you're also going to get weapons like Bad Juju, which also has Hipfire Grip, which a lot of people don't know. And it has aim assist to 60. It's just going to get a buff. Yep. So try out some Hipfire Grip weapons. Do you have any Hipfire Grip weapons, Gil?
That aren't exotic? I don't believe so.
Try them out. Definitely a PvP centric perk, right? So
yeah. Well, into the next ones, the Iron Banner perks, Iron Grip, Gaze, and Reach. Reduced secondary stat penalty from -40 to -30. So
Yeah,
that's
thank God.
significant. um,
Yeah, these were super annoying.
like, dude, I will never forget when I got a Time Worn Spire that had the most abysmal range I have ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
So I'm glad that this is getting a nerf.
it, it was pretty bad. I mean, I think it basically it made weapons unusable, and I think that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, there are perks that you might not care about, right? Like, you might get, like you said, you don't have Dragonfly, you don't have Hipfire Grip, nobody has Unrelenting or Sympathetic Arsenal.
Yeah.
I don't really want it on that weapon. But if you had to use it, it's just a buff. You know what I mean? It just allows you to explode things. It
Yeah.
just allows you to reload. It's not bad. These were literally negative.
Yeah.
Like, this is crazy. I don't know if I can just search iron and see if I can get all of my Iron Banner perks. Oh yeah, I can. Like look at these. This Time War Inspire with Iron Grip. Like, Iron Grip is minus this is -9. Oh, so it actually shows the, yeah, here it is. Look at this. This Iron Reach on my Time War Inspire. -36 stability. This Time War Inspire is 18 stability. What is this? Like, here's another one. Look at this. 16, and that's because I have aim assist on it. Like, it's kind of crazy. Not aim assist, that's because I have stability masterwork. It's kind of crazy. So these are about to get buffed, which is great.
Yeah.
That's pretty exciting. Um, but I'll tell you which ones I'm most excited about is the multi-mock.
Yeah.
Do you have a good multi-mock?
Multi-mock. No. It
Yo.
has dynamic sway of one for all.
If people have good multi-mocks, you already know. But multi-mock it's kind of lit. And I have two of my favorite ones is an Iron Reach Killing Wind, which if you haven't tried an Iron Reach multi-mock, I know that some YouTubers have been like, oh, it's not worth the stability. I don't know, man. I'm getting headshots all day long. I think it doesn't matter because the range gives you that help and aim assist. And the other thing is that if you're using a Titan like I am, and you're using, of course, the beautiful Peacekeepers, I mean, you're just getting a huge. Every single SMG turns into an exotic.
Yeah.
So Peacekeepers is just so good with the multi mock. I'm telling you, you got to try this. But I also have oh, here's my god roll. Iron Reach Dynamic Sway. There it is.
Mm-hmm.
But I also have an Iron Grip. And so Iron Grip, that gets rid of my reload speed. Who needs reload speed? Because I have, of course, the Peacekeepers. But this Iron Reach one is about to get a buff. I'm really excited for that. And even my Iron Grips are, I guess Iron Grips, yeah, Iron Grips are about to get a buff too. So if you have any really good ones, are you excited for any ones in particular? It sounds like your Time War Inspire you're excited about.
I deleted that. I think
I don't blame you.
I have one with Feeding Frenzy Iron Grip,
Yeah.
which is negative 28 reload speed. My Time Worn Spire has 10 reload speed. um, it actually has a reload speed masterwork, but
Nice.
uh,
Buffed by
yeah.
another 10.
Uh, what was I gonna say? Um, I have a very good Fool's Remedy
Okay.
that I love
Oh,
to
I bet you it's the one that I really want, and I get mad that everybody has it but me.
It's moving target Iron Grip.
Okay. Not
Which,
exactly what I want, but it's
yeah,
good.
with the
That's what I
nerf,
have right here.
it's a pretty significant nerf to reload speed. It's negative 36 reload speed. Has 17. But now that that's getting a buff, I have a stability masterwork with an Icarus grip that I usually use when I'm sniping, and it has 91 stability. So I'm excited because I love that thing. I love automatic, fully automatic sidearms. So
Yeah. Yeah, they're fun. I think the role I've always been looking for is hipfire grip and Iron Gaze.
Mm.
Is Iron Gaze? Yeah, because that's the one with aim assist, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the aim. That's the target acquisition, and I just wanted to aim for me in every way, shape, or
Yeah.
form when I'm just like running around, and I like. So I'm still really trying to get that one, but yeah, this is anyway. Long story short, I know we're diving into that one, but
Yeah.
this is nice. This is literally just a buff to even weapons that you did finally get a god roll on. You know, where you're like, oh yes, exactly. This is the exact one I wanted. You're just getting a buff to it. So I wouldn't be surprised if they buff them even more. To be honest, it just depends if people are going to actually use them still.
Yeah. So for this next one, I am annoyed.
Oh,
I'm so annoyed. Not
okay.
in the way that you might think I'm annoyed. First of all, osmosis and elemental capacitor. Some of you might not even know what these perks do because they are probably the two most underutilized perks in the game. Apparently, I didn't know this. I don't think anyone knew this until literally today. They always wanted them to work correctly when playing a stasis subclass.
Surprised me. It doesn't surprise me that they wanted them to.
But I didn't know that they would have been good with it. I've deleted every single osmosis or elemental capacitor roll on any gun I've ever gotten.
Oh, because they just didn't work with stasis.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
Osmosis now switches the weapon to stasis damage when playing a stasis subclass. This should work for any mechanics that also creates a stasis VFX for all weapon types that osmosis can appear on. More coming later. And elemental capacitor with a stasis subclass grants plus recoil direction and reduces ADS move speed penalty.
Change anything for me.
Yeah.
I mean, osmosis is a perk that I think high tier players use when they're doing like GMs.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, if I have a hand cannon with osmosis, you know, and I have unstoppables, then I can change it to whatever element my subclass is, and I can break shields. And like, yeah, that's good. That's fine. I think it's very particular, but that's fine. And then elemental capacitor, it's just too much variability.
Yeah.
You know, if I want to change up my play style, all of a sudden I get a different buff. I was never really a big fan of that.
Oh, yeah.
I actually was. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm still not going to use them. but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know people who use elemental capacitor, and I think that's fine. But you know, whatever. I don't think this is going to change the usage rate outside of the people who are already using it, because I'm not going to use it.
Yeah.
And I think some people think that stasis damage means like it's going to do stasis effects. It's just stasis damage the same way that solar damage is solar damage. It doesn't do anything. There are no effects from solar damage. It just does solar damage. Like that's it. It's just an energy type.
Yeah.
So it's kind of irrelevant to me. But whatever. I think this is the most boring change so far, but it's more of a bug fix than it is like a buff to osmosis and elemental capacitor.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it.
Indeed. No distractions.
There we go. Here's a good one.
Because of an exotic change below. We'll get to that in a second. Reduced trigger time from 1.5 seconds to 1, and increased flinch reduction to 30% to 35%.
Straight up buff.
Yep.
This is straight up buff. I think this is great. I think this is great. I have a couple good no distraction sniper rifles. And I also obviously have the weapon that they're going to mention later. But yeah, I've got this beautiful god roll, snapshot sight, no distractions, accurized rounds. Yep, that's looking beautiful. And if you didn't know, Izanagi's Burden got changed to no distractions a long time ago. So, yep, this is also just getting a straight up buff, whether you're in PvP or PvE. And trust me, you want no distractions on Izanagi and PvE because you don't want to miss that shot that you just honed in.
Yep.
But even weapons like Point of the Stag, you got no distractions, and you're going to be able to lane down and pop back in and out. So, yeah, if you can get no distractions on a sniper, I mean, it already is a god tier or god roll anyway, but I think this is always going to be the new standard. And a
Yeah.
lot of people were using quick draws, quick draw whatever, quick draw opening shot. But I think snapshot no distractions or opening shot no distractions, which I don't think you can get on any sniper. But snapshot no distractions or snapshot opening shot will
Yeah.
now be the meta, and no distractions in a lot of ways can beat out opening shot. If you have a good shot, you
Yeah.
don't need opening shot. You
Right.
want it, you definitely want it. But if you can get no distractions,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. That's a big one. That's a big
Mm-hmm.
one.
All right, now celerity and bottles with grief. We've already talked about this in previous TWAB, but I'll just read them off real quick. Now always grants plus 20 handling, plus 20 reload in addition to the triggered effect. And bottomless grief now always grants plus 30 to the magazine in addition to the triggered effect. um,
Yeah.
so maybe we'll actually use them now.
This is. I actually think this
Yeah.
is huge. I think this is like a really big deal, especially for bottomless grief.
Yeah.
For me personally,
Mm-hmm.
I think if you have a bottomless grief weapon, I think you'll recognize how good this is. I have a bottomless grief thresh, and just to be super clear, I think a lot of people don't understand this. It doesn't mean plus 30 to the mag.
Mm-hmm.
It means plus 30 to the stat, which doesn't show here.
Yeah.
So there is a maximum amount that the magazine can hold, and it will go up to the cap probably,
Mm-hmm.
but that's it. It's not going to give you, 40 mag for the palindrome. That's not what that means.
Yeah.
I don't know what the max for the palindrome is. We can actually check. Pretty sure all you have to do is just go to an extended mag. So the extended mag is 14. So maybe it'll get like 15 or 16 if the cap is actually 14,
Mm-hmm.
which it probably is. But you can put on a backup mag and you'll be able to tell, which we can't actually do here.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, we can. Hold up. Ooh, we can do an adept mag. Yeah, so 14 is the max. So like if I did this, you'll see it still has 14. If I put armor piercing rounds, still has 14. So
Mm-hmm.
14 is the max that I can get. So my bottomless grief will be maxed out, which is a big deal because I can now run high caliber rounds, ricochet rounds, armor piercing rounds, flared magwell. I can run alloy mag.
Yeah.
Yo, I can run. Where's drop mag? Oh, they don't have drop mag on this. But I can run alloy mag, which means I'll reload super, super fast when I run out of 14 bullets. So this might not sound like a big deal, but weapons that can get bottomless grief are now honestly really, really good. Just because you don't have to worry about this column anymore when it comes to which magazine you have in terms of, oh, do I need extra capacity or not? Now, I'm still going to probably want subsistence, but it's not bad. And if you are the last one remaining, you just get that extra perk.
Yeah.
And just so we clear it out and we make it, understood for celerity as well, celerity still has that extra perk where if your fire team dies, you might be able to get the clutch. So obviously trials is, and comp is still going to be good, but handling and reload is huge too. And let's just give you guys an example real quick. Celerity. I got a lot of celerities in here. Let's take a look at this one. My messenger adept. Now I don't like this one because it's got outlaw, which I don't hate. But outlaw celerity isn't really the greatest thing in the world because celerity already helps me with my reload. So maybe let's not look at this one. Let's look at this one. Zen Moment celerity. So Zen Moment is going to be really great for me staying on target. Ricochet rounds obviously increases my range. Hammerforge also increases range, right? Celerity is now going to give me increased handling as well. So my handling will go up from 38 to what is it, 58? I think it was to 58. So the message is going to feel much, much better. And my reload speed, which is at 44, is going to go up to, what did it say, plus 30? So 70. 74. That's a huge difference for one perk. So it's kind of a stat monster. You can create a stat monster with celerity. I mean, shotguns are going to be like really good when it comes to handling with celerity now. I've got a celerity surplus. This thing's like handling is going to be through the roof. So it's going to be interesting to see how this stuff goes. But I know we talked about it before, but if you have one of these or if you get one, don't forget about this. Don't forget about this.
Yep. Now, Thresh, just a little thing going on there, not really important.
Yeah, Thresh, if you didn't know, Thresh works in PvP. This is just stating that this works in PvP.
Yeah. Mods, adept mag and adept targeting. Same thing with the Iron Banner perks. They just wanted to reduce the penalties. Reduce secondary stat penalty from -20 to -15. Um,
That's nice.
fixed adept mag not granting reserves when applied to a sword.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to say about that. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just nice. Just nice.
And adept counterbalance. Didn't feel like enough of didn't feel like enough of an upgrade over standard counterbalance stock to be worthwhile. Increase the recoil direction benefit.
Yeah, this is interesting because we don't know the number, right? But
Yeah.
maybe it's going to be a really big number, and we'll see. I guess we could actually check. You can see here the recoil direction is 98. I mean, that's too high.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too high. Well, if I found out a low recoil, thing, I'm assuming it's going to be something that helps us max out particular ones. I don't think it's going to be 75 or something crazy, but I'm interested in knowing what the increase is going to be.
Yeah. Moving on to this next one.
Here we go.
Mida multi-tool. Bungie has seen many requests to switch this from outlaw to something more useful. They gave Mida multi-tool no distractions instead of outlaw.
How you feel about that, Gil? Why are you standing up?
Because
Oh, didn't you put Mida pretty low on your list? I thought you didn't think Mida was any good.
I hate you.
I thought you thought Mida was kind of trash. I thought it was bad. What happened?
Not anymore.
Because
Not
of one perk?
anymore. It wasn't really that bad to begin with, but
Oh, that's right. It was cracked before. Now it's God tier. It was A, now it's S tier. Listen, you're gonna be Lane and Larry's are back with Mida. We're gonna be in the back of the map. I said we, because that's me. I'll be in the back. I don't have the catalyst. I think that's the biggest thing right now is the catalyst for Mida. Very difficult to obtain because it used to be like the best weapon in the game. But I mean, whatever. I think this does matter to a lot of people though. I think if you worked your ass off to get this catalyst, now you know that your shots are going to hit. And they gave a really good reason, right? They said Mida was losing fights to weapons that would cause more flinch.
yeah.
And you're using this exotic. You want people to be scared of Mida, right? You want to be like,
Right.
oh crap, that's Mida, right? I just got 2 tapped. I got to run because
Yeah.
you can get 3 tapped, right, or 4. So, but it's going fast. So if you get hit twice, you want to go, oh, I got to get out of here. You don't want to be able to duel it, right? I mean, you do want to be able to duel it, but you like in terms of the person who's using it, they want to feel like they can actually get their shots off. It's an exotic scout rifle with a really great perk,
Yeah.
but it's not going to help you duel. This will help you duel, and that's good. That's good.
And Hotland, they just did a little buff to the perk placement.
I think this is kind of big. I don't know if you've been using Hawkman recently, but if you're stacking buffs, you have no idea what paracausal shot you're at.
I haven't seen that. I haven't used it recently.
Dude, it's so annoying. I use it. I almost use it exclusively on my hunter. Like every time I run my hunter, I run Hawkman. I just love it. And like every single time, I'm like, dude, I don't even know what paracausal charge I'm at. Like, what the heck? So it's super annoying. This is great because I don't know if you guys have noticed, but like if you're running multiple buffs and all these different things, that you can only hold 4 on the bottom left. You can have more, but you can only hold 4 on the screen. So it'll fall off. It'll just go down. Whereas paracausal, shot and charge should really be up top, so you can actually manage, your paracausal shot. So I think that's pretty good.
So we're gonna go over this entire the future tab.
How do you like everything in general? I think before we jump into that, like this was a lot of changes, like all rifles, linears,
I mean,
all these perks.
All of it looks good. Like these are all really good changes. Some of them are like cool, nice to see. Others are like, oh my god, finally. But all of this is good. This is all good. I see no issues here.
How do you think this is gonna change like the meta, either in PvE, PvP?
Well, we're gonna be seeing Mida more.
Do you think so?
I think so. Maybe not in like 6v6.
I don't think that many people have the catalyst.
That's true. I don't have the catalyst, but that's fair because I've only been back for like 3 seasons.
It's
But
a hard catalyst to get. I mean, it's
yeah,
really difficult to get. It's not just a random drop,
yeah.
right? It's like get legend or something like that.
hmm Um, maybe we'll see a couple more 450 auto rifles. Maybe depends
Yeah,
on what the
I think
headshot
that's what you
multiplayer
have
is
to
like.
see, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm hoping that linear fusions are like pretty good in PvE now because I will totally be using one if they are, um, especially sleeper, because I don't have a Vorpal one, so um, might keep some more weapons with subsistence, high impact reserves under pressure. Maybe Dragonfly. Maybe no distractions as well, especially no distractions on snipers. Um, yeah, I don't think any of this is meta changing per se. I think we just have to wait and see. Um, but I think we might see other weapons be used here and there, which is always nice, instead of having the same weapons be used every game. So, yeah,
I think the meta will change with linears. I don't think
yeah,
we're gonna see a huge change in PvP. I
yeah,
mean, auto rifles already are outclassed. You do see auto rifle usage. I mean, I'm seeing auto rifles in trials. I'm not saying it's the highest tier, but you do see auto rifles generally, but only
mhm,
600s. So
yeah,
maybe you'll see 450s, whatever. I don't think it's really going to change things that much. But linears, I think we're going to see linears. I
mhm,
think we're going to see linears. I think we're going to be pulling them out because there might be some sort of thing where we have to do high damage to a crit point, and I think linears will be the play. And I don't think anybody's really talked about Arbalest.
yeah,
This is huge for Arbalest. This is
yeah,
huge for Arbalest.
yeah,
This does not say heavy only. This is
right,
linear fusion rifles. And there is one linear fusion rifle that takes special ammo, and you might be able to even double up on it. Think about it this way. Think about if you get a sympathetic arsenal, special weapon, or not special, energy weapon.
mhm,
You run a linear fusion. You run my threaded needle, right?
mhm,
So you got vorpal weapon and auto loading, and you're running Arbalest. Start with threaded needle, go to Arbalest, go back to threaded needle, get some kills. You're doing the whole thing over again.
yeah.
Kind of nasty.
That's pretty. That's pretty
So
nasty.
yeah, I think one of the things we'll need to know is, are we going to get a linear fusion rifle thing in mod in the artifact?
Yeah.
Right. I think that's going to be a big deal. But
Mm,
I don't think any of these perks are really going to. I mean, definitely the biggest thing is celerity. I think it
mhm,
depends on what celerity looks like. No distractions is just getting a buff. Like people were already using it.
yeah.
But I think celerity, we'll see if people think it feels good enough
Yeah.
for them to go, oh yeah, Celerity is the meta now. So we'll have to wait and see. Well, I was just wondering.
Yeah.
All right, we can head at the future part now. Let's head at that future part.
All right. So sometime further in season 14, they expect to touch the following: all shotguns. um,
Can you actually read this whole thing, because there's some
yeah.
interesting language in here.
All right. So they expect to touch all shotguns in season 14. We don't expect a change to the two dominant shotguns being Astral and Felwinter's, replacing quick draw with surplus, and nerfing quick draw to really move the needle on shotgun usage overall in PvP. We agree with some of the comments that weapon usage is not only dependent on tuning, but that map design is also a factor. However, we want more weapons to be viable on all maps, and we can achieve this through tuning, giving other special weapons room to excel. Specifics coming later.
Yo, I think this is huge.
How so?
I mean, I think the number one thing that they just talked about is this line right here. This line right here. This is huge. The reason being, let me read it to you one more time, right?
Yeah.
We agree with some of the comments that weapon usage is not only dependent on tuning,
Mm-hmm.
but that map design is also a factor. They agree with that.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? That means they understand. This is the first time they've ever said, what's the number one thing I've said, Gil, about PvP?
We need new maps.
We need new maps.
Yeah.
And what have I said time and time again about using scouts in Crucible?
They don't work.
We need bigger maps.
We need bigger maps.
They don't work. We need bigger maps. And Destiny, Bungie's never said anything. They're always like, we ain't saying nothing about that. This is the first time where they're like, we understand. We understand that that map design is a big part of this, and we agree with you. Now they do say though, however, we want more weapons to be viable on all maps. They're not getting rid of maps, right?
Mm-hmm.
So all these maps that were originally built for 3v3 are now going to be, they want all weapons to be good on all these maps, but I do believe that they know that they need to make new maps that are bigger,
Right.
let alone new maps in general.
Mm-hmm.
And so they are going to, achieve some things through tuning, and I think that's good. Giving some other special weapons to room to roam, specific something later. The only special weapons in this game,
Mm-hmm.
there are only 3,
Yeah.
right? Fusions, shotguns, sniper rifles. So I really feel like the only thing they're thinking about is fusions.
Mm-hmm.
So my assumption is that they're going to try and rein in shotguns. I don't know what that means. Yeah, I don't know what that means. I don't know how they're gonna. I don't know how they're gonna change it, but it's gotta be a nerf to range.
Yeah.
It has to be.
It has to be.
And I've said me and Darth, again, Darth Dominic, a member of our clan, we have this discussion all the time. I was like, if they're going to nerf shotguns, I don't complain about shotguns because I use it and I understand the meta and it is what it is right now. But it would be nice to see, like, to me, a shotgun needs to completely dominate a particular space.
Right.
But it keeps reaching a little too far out of that space.
Mm-hmm.
Slugs should be able to come out in that space, but not every single shotgun should be able to just dominate out in that space. So when you're using an SMG or a sidearm, you should be able to duel somebody who's pushing you with a shotgun, because that shotgun should there should be no question that shotgun should shut you down at a particular range, but you should be able to do something about it when you use a weapon that can't do anything in the medium or long range and only work in the short range sidearms.
Right.
Sometimes they can inch out into the medium range. So this, I think, is a really big deal. And it does mean that fusions are going to have a way bigger space to say, oh, I can actually VOOP you, in the medium without just getting shut down by a crazy shotgun at some point.
Yeah.
So, literally, this is talking about fusions. There's no other special weapon in this game, unless they're going to give us something new. But I think it's kind of crazy. Anyway, continue. I think this is a big deal.
Yeah.
Personally.
Dead Man's Tale. With the upcoming nerf to 120 hand cannon range, we expect to see a surge in Dead Man's Tale usage, which is already high. We had enough moving pieces in Season 14 that we didn't really want to try to squeeze this in at the same time. But we have a change ready to go that reins in its ability to challenge sniper rifles, 120 hand cannons, and scout rifles, while in hip fire, without detracting from the fantasy of the weapon. Which is fair, straight up.
I think it's just going to be range. I think it's going to be a range nerf. It's like pretty easy. I think it should take the place, like, to me in my head, it should take the place of like using a sidearm.
Mm-hmm.
I think it should be like sidearm, right? Like when you're shooting and then all of a sudden you're hip firing, it should be like sidearm range, because that's the whole point, is that you're shutting down people who are pushing you, and you don't have to be aiming down sight. It shouldn't be like some of these crazy plays where people are just flying across the map, hip firing the whole time.
Yeah,
that's a little ridiculous. So yeah, I'm excited to see what this is.
Indeed. And they have a little note down here, fusion rifles, as some of our other changes, we don't want to bump these too much too fast, so we'll follow up if needed, which is good. Because these
We'll
things
see.
don't really need that much of a buff, so...
Yeah, I mean, they definitely need. There's literally no one uses fusion rifles except two.
Right.
It's literally, or I mean, exotics, because they all have like some crazy thing, right? If you're either launching a giant fireball, which is, it's not a fusion rifle in the normal sense. It's not shooting a bunch of like little projectile things. Shooting a giant fireball. You're either shooting a bunch of little sticky grenades.
Yeah.
Or you're shooting Merciless, which Merciless is a little bit different there. Merciless actually is pretty good, but no one uses it. Right. Or you're using Bastion, which is literally a bunch of fists.
Yeah.
So it's not. Yeah, I mean, no one uses fusion. Glacial Chasm is the only one, and that's because it's the only meta one. So they definitely do need some work, and no one uses any fusion rifle outside of Glacial Chasm's high impact. Like you're never going to use a rapid fire. You're never going to use a precision. So excited to see what they have for those.
Indeed. Well, all right. That's about it for all the main juicy stuff in the TWAB. This is just a little bit of hot fixes. The hot fix that came out today, just little minor bug fixes. Talk about Guardian Game Bunny Rewards a little bit. Some weekly known issues that they always do. And that's about it. Would you like to go into the movies of the week?
Yeah.
You can take it away.
I actually for the first time didn't get a chance to watch these. This apparently is 12, a Destiny 2 short. It looks like it's about probably 12 people doing a raid, as you can see, which is pretty cool. I'll definitely make sure I get a chance to watch this. Did you get a chance to watch it?
Yeah, it was really cool.
Okay, worth the watch then?
Worth the watch.
I'll definitely take a look at it. I mean, it definitely looks cool, so I'm interested. Oh, this is are they all Titans?
I don't remember.
They look like they're all Titans. This is even better. Okay, that's beautiful. All right, cool. Well, it'll be interesting to see that one. And then I did get a chance to watch this. This is just another fantastic montage. So if you're a big fan of montages like me, definitely take a look at this one. It features some weapons that you probably haven't seen in a while. Tatara's Gaze makes an appearance here. There it is. Oh, look at my baby Tatara's Gaze. I miss it so much. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's PS4 gameplay too.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, it's pretty great. I don't know if you guys like montages, definitely check it out. Yeah, and then of course we have the artist of the week. The first one here is called Trinity. We can actually get this nice and big on the screen. Pretty cool. Very artistic. You've got the different colors in every single Guardian post here. I think it looks pretty dope. It's really artsy. I mean, like, I don't know. This is pretty cool. And then of course you've got this one here. This is so great. As a drawing of Zavala. Literally, the only thing I can't get over is that the shading on his chin makes it look like he has
a goatee,
like a soul patch goatee thing.
Yeah,
I love it. I mean, I think it's great, but it's I just can't get over the fact that he has this like goatee thing here. It's just too great. It actually, I mean, it's funny because it almost makes me feel like he needs this, like he needs a goatee.
Yeah,
I need to see him with a goatee one day. We should just have like a scene where he's just shaving and like we walk in and he's like, "What do you need, Guardian?" And he just has like a goatee. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'll see you in a minute." Like that'd just be too good. But as always, if you guys are interested, go ahead and give these guys a like, bling, bling, and tell them that you love the art and stuff like that. It's always pretty cool. This last little paragraph here, the Guardian games are ongoing. The Hunters are off to an early lead boosted by their superior numbers. But as the bonuses continue to stack, the daily races are getting closer. We saw Warlocks take their first win on Wednesday, and we couldn't be prouder. Will Warlocks winning Wednesday mark a turning point, or will Titans take Tuesday? Only a matter of time. Maybe it'll be Hunters who put a stop to this, all this work. Only time will tell. There's only 2 thrilling weeks left, and it's anybody's game.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Yeah, that is the TWAB. I think it's a pretty action-packed TWAB overall.
Yeah.
Um, Talks a lot about a lot of different things. Of course, you've got the raid, and then basically we talk all about weapon balancing and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Indeed.
Pretty good.
I'm excited for VOG.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it'll be good. And I mean, I know a lot of people are getting down on Guardian games, and I don't blame them. I think it's rough because I think everybody's just already done with the season.
Yeah.
So it's hard to do something where you have to just do a bunch of grinding. I think
Mm-hmm.
if it was in the middle of the season, I would have kept up the hype and been like, Titans, let's go, because
Mm-hmm.
it would have been fresh. But I'm already tired.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm like, if Titans win, they win. And I was hype about it. I mean, you guys saw me in the last couple last couple episodes, and I was hype, but all that energy is kind of gone, and
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see. We'll see.
All right. Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
after TWABs, we usually get into some post topics. And this first one, well, both of these I put down. But this first one I really wanted to talk about. So, if you didn't see in last week's TWAB, it was all about um, transmog, the systems behind it, what's going on, how everything's going to work. And if you didn't see, they have a seasonal cap on it. The seasonal cap is 2 armor sets a season. Now, in
To
season
be
4,
super clear, that's 10 pieces.
10 pieces of armor per
10
season.
pieces of armor.
Not per week, not per month, not per reset, per season. Now, in season 14, we'll be able to get 20 pieces of armor as a launch bonus for transmog. But in the next seasons, if you want to do more than 2 sets of armor, you're going to have to pay for it. um, and it'll cost you $10 for a full set of armor, for the materials to get full set. And a lot of people have just lashed out at Bungie for this. Like, they're saying they're being stingy, they're being money hungry, they're converting back to being like Activision. There are people comparing them to EA, and I'm like, okay, that is where I kind of draw the line. No. And if I'm going to be completely honest, how many sets are you really trying to do? Now, I can understand if you're like a die-hard Destiny player, it's the only game you play, you want to get all of these for each character, right? If you like certain sets on all your characters, but let's say you only play Warlock, or you only care about your Hunter. You have other characters, but you only care about your Hunter when it comes to fashion. Um, how many sets are you really gonna get? For me personally, all I care about for my Hunter is the Escalation Protocol armor and Deepstone Crypt Raid armor. That's it. That is all I care about. And frankly, that's the coolest armor that I have in my collection. So, I, I I see the issue. Do I think there should be a seasonal cap? Absolutely not. Do I think it's a good idea to have a payable option for people who don't want to put that time in to grind those materials? Yeah, that's a good idea in my eyes. Do I agree with some of the things people are saying? Yes. Do I think it is really that big of a deal? No. It's not going to stop your Destiny 2 experience. I don't think it's anything that people should get so emotional that they quit the game about it. Like, do you know who Young Yat is?
Yeah, I know who he is. I
He
saw
tweet
that.
he tweeted about it. This dude doesn't
He
even
made a video about it.
he made a video. He doesn't even play the game. And then Astacross tweeted at him. That was awesome. Um, it's like people who don't even play the game are dogging on Bungie for this. It's like, look, this whole system in general is for die-hard players, right? casual players who don't play the game that much, don't get into that hardcore in-game PvE content, or don't play trials, this doesn't matter for them. Um, this is for people who have gotten the raid armor, who have gotten the end-game PvE activity armor, trials armor, that kind of stuff. These are for hardcore players, and it is, in my opinion, the only people that should be remotely upset about this. Um, but in the end, I personally don't see it as that big of a deal. I think it's a big deal because it is account wide. If it was, is it account wide?
So it's not account wide. It's account wide, but it's 10 per character.
10 per character. Okay. So, well, then immediately that just makes it even less of a big deal because if you have one of each character, you can do 2 sets per character per season. That's still a lot of grinding. Maybe. I don't know how it works yet. Um, like, people are making such a huge fuss about this when in the end, it might not even be that big of a deal in the first place. Unless you're like a hardcore completionist that wants every piece of armor you own to be an ornament, which I don't know why you would do that to yourself. Because that would be literally the only thing you're doing throughout the entire season. Um, I don't see. I see the fuss. I don't think it should be as huge as it is. But that's my tangent. What do you think?
Yeah. That's a Gil hot take right there. I wanted to find, there was I thought it was on Reddit. I was really hoping I could find this, but I'm not sure I'm going to be able to. They did actually calculate how long it would take
Yeah, I saw that.
and it was like years.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to play devil's advocate on this one. Now, I'm not saying that I agree with the people who are, all up in arms about this,
Mhm.
but I'm not saying I completely agree with you either. I think they're right in the sense that it's fair to get frustrated at this
Right.
because
I'm frustrated. Don't
I'm
get me wrong.
yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
I played Diablo.
Mhm.
I've played games where they just don't have any of these microtransaction systems.
Mhm.
I have been a Destiny player since D1 all the way up until now. And I think people have already, they get it. It's not just one thing, right? It's compounding.
Yeah.
And I'd love to hear what people think about this, obviously in the chat, in the comment section. But I think the issue is that it's compounding. Think about
Right.
playing all of D1, loving it. I'm not talking about like, liking it. I'm talking about loving it. I'm talking about the
Mhm.
entire hardcore play base that's like, love this game,
Yeah.
right? They love their shaders, they like their armor, they're loving it. They love their glows, right? They love all of their, they remember, there's Taken armor, they all this cool armor and stuff. Whole thing, none of it goes over to Destiny 2.
Mhm.
That's number one. There are a ton of people who are upset about that.
Yeah.
Some people let it go. They're like, all right, whatever, man. Go into Destiny 2. You're playing. All right, game's not too bad. There's no transmog. It's fine. There's no glows. It's okay. Shaders are one-time use. Yeah, people don't like that.
Yeah.
Okay, they get over it. Sunsetting comes up. All this cool armor you have, can't use it.
Gone.
That happens. Now you go, okay, hey, listen, we have universal ornaments. Okay, that's cool. All of them are behind paywalls. You have to buy them from Eververse, even though you've been giving money to this game since the very beginning when
Right.
it was trash.
Mhm.
Let's not pretend like Curse of Osiris was good. The people are still out here giving them money, feeling, like, hey, Bungie will get there. Bungie will get there. They announced transmog. You're like, whoa, all of the issues I've had around being able to customize the way my character looks has now been solved. All of the work I've put into this game all of the work I've put into it has now been respected because you went backwards and you said, I am now going to retroactively allow you to go back and remind yourself and other people that you did these raids, that you did these activities, that you were there during these times. No one who is playing now that newly came in, Gil, you will never be able to wear 2 or 3 raid armor sets. And I want to be able to flex that, right? That's a huge deal. I'm like, yeah, it's a huge accomplishment for me. I'm like, I want to show off. I want to show you what I got, Gil. Let me show you. I'm getting hyped about it. And then they're like, by the way, there's going to be a bunch of armor that comes out. You're going to get the Vault of Glass armor. You're going to get the seasonal armor. You're going to get, you're going to get the Vault. Yeah, you're going to get the Vault armor. You're going to get the seasonal armor. You're going to get the seasonal ornaments. You're going to get, if there's another new activity, there's going to be a new armor set in that. All of those, about 4 sets of armor. If you plan on transmogging any old armor, you can't transmog any of that armor. Season after that, you're going to get at least 2 more sets. You can't transmog any of that armor if you plan on transmogging 1 set of armor. You get 2 more sets. Did you want to transmog the one from the first season? Because you could go back and do that if you want, but you can't transmog any of this armor. That is going to be constantly frustrating for people. They're going to want to just do what they want to do. That's not what the system is. So I'll pay this money for the most part because money's not really that important to me right now. I have a good enough job where I'm not really that concerned about it. But if you're a hardcore player that has been putting money into this game, not necessarily on the microtransaction side, but on the other side of it, like, I don't know, every single content drop ever created, you're going to get pretty upset that you can't just use transmog because when you unlock, think about it this way, right? When you play Vault of Glass, you have to unlock the ability to transmog all of your Vault of Glass armor.
Yeah.
That's frustrating.
Yeah.
That's really, really frustrating. So I definitely think they should change it. 100%. And I think the only change they need to make is don't put a cap on it. I don't care how they do it. Gamifying it, I think, is sick. I think gamifying it is awesome. I think it's worth putting. I think it would be stupid. I know some people would completely hate me for this, but I think I would not like the game as much if they had a free, like, no time investment into allowing me to transmog my armor. Because it doesn't fit within the Destiny universe. There's not really a lot in this game where you get to just do something without there being some sort of gamification around it. So being able to say, oh, Ada's back. I got to go to her. She's going to help me with this. I'm going to be able to get this stuff. It adds value to what you're doing in the game. But not a lot. Make it hard. Make me do raids for this stuff. I don't care. Make me use spoils to go ahead and have to get this stuff. I don't use spoils for anything. I mean, it's outside of roles. Yeah. So it's like, I would personally, I want to see this change. And I'm not sitting here telling you, Gil, that you're wrong. Yeah. You're on the same page. But I just want to make it clear that I agree with Gil 100% when he says, these people are kind of acting up and they're like kind of crazy right now. But at the same time, we're both on the same page that we understand why, right? So, people are getting really upset and all this stuff. And I think while I was looking for that Reddit post, the funny thing was I found this first one that's the biggest here. DMG already responded to the transmog issue, but I feel like some people need a reminder on how community managers work. I think that's a really good point. You can see right here that this guy says, DMG, who is the community manager, senior community manager at Bungie, many thanks to everyone sounding off with feedback. Keep it coming. Appreciate the critical feedback. Cheers to those keeping it respectful. As always, we're in this for the long haul. Looking forward to seeing you guys getting your hands on armor synthesis. Much love. This is huge. You can even see people are here still giving feedback. No one's Paul Tassi, no cap. Honestly, that's really it. Ascendant Nomad, remove the cap, find some way to streamline the economy for the currency so we're not chasing our tails so much. 150 synth somethings, who named these things, should drop one per kill instead of RNG system like in the past. Again, people are just saying, giving their feedback on this, and I think it's great. But a lot of people don't get that. A lot of people don't understand that like DMG is just a community manager and he's taking in the content and he's going to try and figure out what's going on, right? But a lot of people are just kind of freaking out. State your opinion, put it out there, make that a big, make a big deal out of it, but don't be all crazy about it and not be keeping it like I think I don't think it's fair to minimize people's frustration about it, but I do think it's important you can sit there and be like, okay, well now your opinion doesn't matter because you're being disrespectful, right?
Yeah.
I think the second you start to get disrespectful about something like this,
right,
I think it starts to just get out of hand because it's like it's out of pocket at that point.
Yeah.
So now you give it a whole season and they don't say anything.
Then we can start talking. But yeah, I completely agree. Like, literally, all they would have to do is take off the cap.
Yeah,
that's it. And
I mean, that's simple, right?
You could keep the Eververse there for people who are just like, man, I just don't feel like doing this right now, but I really want to do this. Let me just drop a quick $10 and get it, so that way I don't have to spend all this time I don't want to spend doing it. That's a good idea. But putting a cap on it makes it just seem like, hey, we're going to give you 2 sets per season, but if you want to get more, guess what? You're going to have to pay me like $30.
Yeah, I do think it's not like removing the cap. I actually don't think solves everything. I think you have to remove the cap and have some sort of system that makes it easy for us to get 10.
Correct.
You have to work hard for you to get 20, and then you have to work really hard to get 30.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I think whether that is expanding costs or whatever it is, I do think that is worth it. I agree with I do think the game should gamify this in some way and make us think about the choices we're making. Not everyone's going to agree with me on that. Some people just want their stuff and they want it now, and I think that's fair. But for me and my enjoyment of the game, I want to work for this stuff, but I want to feel like I can just work for it and not have to pay for it. Granted, I will pay for it. I mean, let's just be completely honest. I will pay for this. I'm going to pay for it. I mean, and somebody else the other day was I can't remember who it was. I don't remember. I think it was Cammy. He was like, "Dude, I will pay for a lot of things in this game." He's like, "I'll pay for a lot of things. I'll pay to get rid of cheaters." And I was like, "Oh, that's a good point." He said something else too. I can't remember what it was. But I mean, there are a lot of things I would pay for in this game, and this is one of them. And so when people are like, "Well, I don't want to pay," it's like, well, there are people who would. So you kind of have to balance that. But anyway, that's my last part on it. We'll cover this again, obviously, if we get any information. But that's my rant.
I think in order to appease the community, they have to respond at some point. I honestly,
I think they will.
I was like kind of weirded out that they honestly didn't just say something in this TWAB, but I would be surprised if they didn't just say something about it, that they're changing it, that they're listening. They gotta do something other than just we're in this together. So
this was written by Cosmo, and I think on Twitter, DMG was like, yeah, like we see this, like don't worry, we see it. And I think it's gonna go one of two ways, honestly.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna go one of two ways. I think either we're going to see no comment until the end of next season. Or in the middle of next season, like after people get their hands on it.
Yeah.
And I think we'll see that. Or we'll see it in literally a TWAB or two.
Yeah.
I think in one TWAB. I think we'll either hear literally next week, because that's the last TWAB before the next season. So I think we'll either get it next week where they'll go, hey, we're listening. And I'm not saying there's going to be a change. I think next week they'll go, hey, we're listening, and like just letting you guys know we're working on a fix. But next season it's still going to be the way it is. So get whatever 2 armor or 4 armor sets you want, and we'll work on it. Or they'll wait until the middle of next season. Because honestly, it don't matter how many people complain if everybody's paying for it. Let's just be completely honest about it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if everyone pays for it. I'm going to pay for it. You can't stop me. So it doesn't matter if 100,000 people pay for it. It doesn't matter if a vocal minority yells about it. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just put it out there. Money speaks much more. So we'll see. But if nobody pays, if everyone only takes their 20 free ones and nobody really pays for it, or, a really small fraction of people who are usually paying don't pay, well, because I'll be honest with you, I probably won't pay in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because I want to see if they're going to change it. Yeah. So I probably won't pay in the beginning. But if we don't get a rallying cry around that, then it doesn't really matter. So anyway, yeah.
Well, this next topic, this isn't gonna. Hopefully, it won't take as long as that one. But I was just kind of interested, since the next season's coming up very soon.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do I think? What do we think we're gonna see as the story be for next season? I'll start with you. What do you think?
Honestly, dude, let me tell you exactly what I want for next season. Beyond Light. Let me pull this Beyond Light trailer for you. Just real quick. Beyond Light trailer. So we have 2 seasons left?
2 seasons left, yeah.
So I'm going to go through this real quick.
Queen.
We've seen this. We've seen this. We've seen this. We've seen Aramis. We've seen this. We got some Briggs here. We got more Aramises, folks. Yep. Got some more of this. Light. Okay, so it's not this one. I lied. It's probably this one. Give me one more second. All right. Some of this. Aramis. Blah blah blah. Blah blah blah. Yep. Come on. Where is it? What the heck? It's not here either. All right, there's one more. I don't know where it is. It's got to be somewhere. All right, well, let me tell you. I know what it is. Okay, sorry. Give me one more second. Give me one more second.
Yeah.
What I want to see is something. The reason I'm struggling here is there's 2 things I'd like to see, and maybe it'll come at the end of at the end of the entire season. But I would be confused if it didn't. And then there's a 3rd thing that I think might happen. So in the Beyond Light, God, there's so many trailers here. It's not in the launch trailer, apparently. It's not in the character spotlight. It's on these weapon spotlights. I promise you that it's worth doing what I'm doing right now. I promise. I promise you. I know this is what is he doing right now? Is this it? Nope, that's the reveal stream.
Side note, I just ordered a new addition to my upgraded setup. Is the first thing I got just now. I got a 1080p HD webcam.
It's okay, I see you.
First edition.
Teaser. Hold on, it's got. Oh, it's this one. This is it. That's what I want to know. That. What the heck is that? What? There's only a handful of things I want to know. I want to know what's Aramis up to. She's not dead. What's Aramis up to? Who the heck is this little fish? I want to know that. Aramis, I want to know the fish. Actually, I want to know a bunch of things. I want to know, I'm thinking now, I'm going through it. I want to know Aramis. I want to know the fish. I want to know Rasputin. And you know what? Next season, next TWAB, let's write out all of the different plot lines that are open right now. We'll do it next one.
Is the fish a plot line?
because there's a point. Like, how many plot lines are currently open? There's so many, right?
Yeah.
What the heck is this fish? That's a plot line. What the heck is this fish? Where's Aramis? What's going to happen with Keitel? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many plot lines open. What do I think is going to happen? I really, really hope. I mean, it's got to have something to do with Sivu Arath, and I think it's got to have something to do with the Fallen. We're too deep in with the Fallen right now. We're too deep into the story with Sivu Arath.
Mm-hmm.
We have to close out Sivu Arath because Witch Queen is next.
Yeah.
So unless Sivu Arath like partners up with Savathun, but we still have to meet Sivu Arath. Unless again, Sivu Arath is going to be like a raid boss for Savathun, and then Savathun becomes a raid boss at the end of next season, right? It would be really weird if Savathun isn't a raid boss in her own season. That would be weird.
Yeah.
But if she is at the end of the season or at the end of the year, right, then that's fine. So I think it's going to have to do with Fallen. I think it's hopefully going to have to do with Mithrax and our relationship with the Fallen now, whatever it is now.
Yeah.
And I think Mithrax makes the most sense right now. We haven't heard from Mithrax in a long time, and we just shipped a bunch of people to him. So what does that look like? I'm hoping that we get something crazy like the farm becomes the new like the new Fallen like base of operations for the House of Light. I hope we get involved with it, and then I hope that has something to do with Sivu Arath or Aramis, because the issue right now for me is that Aramis could also honestly be another ally if like we understand her now because of all the lore that's out there, and like for her to be an ally would be huge, and she knows she can't beat us. Or she'll get revived by the darkness somehow, and she'll be some crazy boss thing.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's nearly as interesting. So we'll just have to wait and see. But I hope that's where we're going. Of course, Siva has been talked about a bunch.
Yeah.
But I don't know about that one.
I personally, I feel like we're getting splicers at some point. It may not be like Siva directly, but I feel at some point, like they have to have something that deals with just maybe even just the Devil Splicers as a faction. I don't know.
I don't know if you've heard the rumor about Splicers. Apparently, the leak is that like, sorry if anyone doesn't want to listen to leaks. This is a Destiny podcast, but apparently at one point it was supposed to be called like Season of the Splicer. Like literally, that's what it was in the database, and they got rid of it. So I don't think they're gonna call it that. That seems like a whack name.
Season of the Splicer.
But I do think we're gonna get. I think we've got to continue this story with the Fallen. I mean, I just beat Beyond Light again on my Hunter, and I'm like, dude, like this story kind of just like pauses, and we know that was the beginning. So, and then if the next season is Season of the Hunt, where we're talking about we're following Crow's story, Crow is gonna have to come to some sort of climax here. So I think next season we're gonna see him come to it something big is gonna happen to Crow. Something's gotta come up with Sivu Arath, and something's gotta happen with the Fallen, right?
Yeah.
So those are my three that I'm looking at. Yeah. Fallen, Sivu Arath, specifically. I mean, there's a bunch of Hive things going on, but Sivu Arath, Fallen overall, because there's a lot of different plot lines in there. You got Spider, you got Mithrax, you got Aramis, you've got
Keitel.
Well, Keitel's not a Fallen.
Yeah.
You've got whatever his name is.
Varix.
I can't think of his name. Varix. You got all of them. So all of them have open plot lines, and then you've got Crow. I think all of them are the only open plot lines right now.
We all know at some point what was going to eventually occur with Crow, right?
Are you talking about him becoming the Hunter Vanguard?
Yes. At some point, he has to be Hunter Vanguard.
Dude, something could happen. He could die.
I don't think he's gonna die. I think
someone else could die. I think
he's too big of a character, honestly.
That's fair.
I could see.
Yeah, I agree.
I could see them pulling something like a stand-in while they work on getting Crow in. I
We'll see. I
actually,
mean, yeah, go ahead.
I actually, literally like yesterday, I
Hmm.
I was just thinking, and I came up with an entire head canon about a storyline with the Hunter Vanguard as a story beat as a whole, to where Zaballa's like, to where it ties in with the end of this season's Guardian games, to where the Hunters would win, but they don't have a representative. And they're like, and Zavala's like, we need a Hunter stand-in while Crow's gone, because the Guardians themselves wouldn't be so accepting of Uldren Sov being their vanguard. um, and they're like, well, we know Anna's not going to do it because she doesn't want to. First of all, second of all, she's too busy with Rasputin. And bring
Another
him
plot
back.
line
Another
open.
plot line. Um, and in my head, I'm like, dude, they could bring in. That is how they could potentially bring in Shin Malphur.
Oh, Shin would no,
He wouldn't. He
no.
wouldn't do it.
They
But
wouldn't ask him to do it. Dude,
it's just
Zavala
something that
kicked
came up
out
from
the.
my head. But
Yeah, but Zavala kicked out the Sunbreakers. You think he's gonna let Shin Malphur? No way. There's already conversation about like, do they know, or like, what do they just stay out of his way? But if Shin Malphur stepped into the reason the Drifter runs the games is because if he stepped into the actual like tower, that would not go well. That would not go well. Like, so no, not Shin
the only
Malphur.
reason Drifter's even like alive right now is because Shin Malphur hasn't killed him yet.
I mean, Shin literally is using him to run the games, which
Yeah.
also I don't. I mean, I understand Shin is extremely powerful, but like, I mean, the Drifter's no joke. He's literally. I mean, he's now part of the. I call him the Frozen Vanguard now, but the Darkness Vanguard. I mean, he's right there with the stupid little fish behind him or in front of him, and I don't know what this fish is.
Yeah.
Dude, there's no. Sorry, I can't get over this fish. What? There's literally nothing. Nothing on this fish looks like anything we've ever seen. Maybe it looks a bit exo, like maybe it's Braytech, but like its eyes kind of look a little Vex-like or something. But yo, this fish thing, like, what is it? What is it? I don't know. Also, all three of them are here again. Like, let's just be completely clear. Like, this hasn't happened yet, right? Like, this has not happened. This thing, this scene in the game has not happened yet. Like, where the three of them go to a pyramid and they have a fish, and she has a fish, that hasn't happened. So, like, when does this happen? Like, they obviously shut up shop already and things like that. Like, does another pyramid come down? Is that the pyramid? And then where's the fish? Sorry, I'm freaking out. I just this fish is too important to just be like, oh yeah, like,
You know who they could bring back?
I don't know.
Remember, you know Shiro 4. You know who
Sounds
that is?
super familiar. Who's Shiro?
He was basically someone who worked for the Iron Lords. He was one of the vendors in the Iron Temple in Rise of Iron in D1. And he was basically like the ringleader, bringing you through the entire Outbreak quest. But he's a hunter. So they could bring him back. I looked up a bunch of notable hunters on the Destiny 2 Wikipedia Destiny fandom site. We got Anna Bray, Anna Hera 3, Ephrodite, who is lightless, correct?
I'm not sure.
Eris Morn, formerly a hunter. Marcus Wren.
I mean, none of these people are gonna do it.
I know they're gonna do it. It's gonna be Crow, but
yeah.
I just made up a cool little story in my head.
No, I like that. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, the only thing that didn't make sense was Shin Malphur, but I know you want to see Shin Malphur in there.
I want him so bad.
Yeah,
He's just so
I feel you. I
cool.
mean, I do think it would be pretty dope to see him like. I do think we're due for like a good cinematic. So I mean, like okay, I'm being that's not fair. We just had like 3 Keitel cinematics, so never mind.
That's pretty
But
decent,
yeah, I don't know, man. I'm there's so many plot lines. What's your most interested plot line? Like, what plot line are you most interested in? And by the way, we're not going to make this last any longer. I know this has already been really long, but
yeah.
what plot line are you the most interested in? It might not be what's coming up next,
Yeah.
but like, what are you most interested in? Not Savathun, because we already know that's coming.
Right. Damn, that's a good question.
There's so many.
Right.
The fish is mine. No,
um, either Crow or um, either Crow or Ziva Wrath. Probably Ziva Wrath.
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And I think we'll get those this season. I think we'll get those this season. I think next. I mean, sorry, I keep saying this season. This year.
Yeah.
We could get Ziva Wrath more next year.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're still talking about Crow next year and he hasn't come into form,
Right.
I'd be confused.
Yeah.
Or bored. Let me put it that way.
You know what's funny?
Yeah.
This entire expansion
Yeah.
has partially been about his development as a character.
Definitely.
Literally
100%.
throughout launch of this expansion up to
Yeah.
now. Up to
I
about
mean,
like 3 weeks
they
ago.
said they wanted to do that, right? They said
Yeah.
they wanted to have more closed plot lines within the entirety of the year, which is why I don't think we're going to see Rasputin appear randomly, because he wasn't in this year at all.
Right.
So I think we might see Rasputin next year. I think we might see him like, I mean, I'd love to hear more about what's up with him, but I just don't think we're going to see it. Granted, it is possible we might see a plot line with him, since there's a plot line with Bray.
Correct.
The entire Bray lineage, there's a huge line there, and Anna's part of it, and that's another huge plot line that's open. I think for me, my number one is probably Rasputin.
Yeah.
I think it's just such a big deal, and they didn't do a good job with Rasputin before. Like, I think Rasputin, like, having a bunch of these little throwing javelin things that, weren't actually that good at taking down Zol, like, it was not that interesting. And so I want to see how they reformat that. And I want to kind of see what happens with the Brave family, like, overall. And if I remember correctly, Anna hasn't come back yet.
Yeah.
Like, Anna left, and she hasn't come back yet.
She appeared in one of those quest lines after Beyond Light's main story.
No. I mean, she left during that quest line. Like, she went, like, she, like when she was told that she was killed, basically, and she was like, what the heck? And she's like, I gotta go. She's like, thanks for telling me this, I gotta go. And she hasn't come back. So, like, that plot line is open. And so I want to know all of that stuff for sure, Rasputin stuff. But the other one is Mithrax. I think Mithrax he's the only, like, Mithrax is like a really, really big deal. If he gets light or darkness, if he gets any sort of power, that's going to be, like, huge. And if he doesn't, even so, like, he's the fallen on our side. He's the only fallen on our side right now. I mean, again, outside of Eric's. And I just want to see what that's going to turn out to be. I want to see what the House of Light is going to turn into. I also want to know about the Swarm, but I think the Swarm is going to just be with Ziva Wrath and stuff. So
right. All right.
Cool. Well, it's pretty late. You guys know us. We rambling out here. But it's a good time. Hopefully, you guys enjoy all of this. Either way, we appreciate you guys sticking through it. Obviously, we had some technical difficulties earlier. Of course, this will all be up on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, hello, welcome. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate all the comments down below. We want to know your opinions on everything. If you guys are here live, thank you so much. If you're watching this anywhere else, I don't know where you're seeing it, but thank you so much, guys. Of course, we will see you online, and we will catch you in the next one. Peace.